Okay, and welcome back. Today we're just going to be looking at two simple things, which is using how much and how many. So we use these when we're talking about nouns that we can, with things we can count or things we can't count. So it's pretty easy. We can count things like our fingers, pens, books, apples, because we can have one pen, two pens, right? So we can count them. But we can't count some things. Water. We can't count water because it's liquid, right? We can't count milk, for example, or sugar. So some things we can count and some we can't count. We use how much with things that we can't count. How much sugar? How much water? We use how many with things we can count. How many pens? 1, 2. If I had more, we could have 3 or 4. So these are countable things. And things in English we call nouns. Nouns. A pen? Pen is a noun. That's what type of word it is. So how much goes with uncountable things, things we can't count. How many goes with countable. So when we want to ask somebody a question, we will say, for example, with the word milk, how much milk do you have? All right, how much milk do you have? Because we can't count milk. But books we can count, right? We can have one book. We got some here. One book, 2 books, all right? So, how many books do you have? How many books do you have? So this is with uncountable and countable nouns. So let's come down here and look at some examples. We have food, apples, shoes, and water. So these are 4 nouns, and we're going to fit them into our 4 sentences here. So if we look at the first one, how much? How much? This is uncountable, right? So let's see. Food, apples, shoes, and water. One interesting thing with countable things, they can be plural. So you'll often see an S on the end. So if I'm asking a question, I wouldn't say how many book do you have, because that's just one. If I want to know it's a number greater than 1, I would say how many books with an S, right? So if we come down here, how much, we know it's going to be something you can't count. Food, apples, shoes, water. And if we look carefully, food doesn't have an S, does it? And if we think about food, food can be any amount of food, right? It's not apples, it's not bananas, it's not something we can count. So we can say, how much food, maybe, do you have? So now I want to know how much food you have. Maybe you have a little bit of food, maybe a lot of food. All right, so that's uncountable. Number 2, how many? Now we need something we can count. Apples, oranges, bananas, right? And we look here, we've got a clue. Apples, right? It's got the S on the end. So how many? How many apples do you have? All right. How many? So this is countable. How many apples do you have? So your answer might be, I have 1 apple. I have 2 apples. I have 5 apples. All right, with the S. Let's look at our third one. How much? So it's not countable. Not countable. So, shoes go on your feet. We can count them. 1 shoe, 2 shoe, 3 shoes. But water is a liquid. Can't count water. So water here, how much water do you have? All right, how much? So just like how much water do you have, how much food do you have, how much time do you have? All right, last one then, how many shoes? We can count. 1 shoe, 2 shoe, 3 shoes, 4 shoes, right? So how many shoes do have, right? And it's got the S again. So this is using countable and uncountable questions. Uncountable, how much? How much milk do you have? Countable, how many? How many books do you have? All right, thanks very much for listening. We'll talk to you next time. Bye for now.